Susan, you have a story about, because I know your work at Sheraton Health. She takes amazing care not only of her clients, but the caretaker. It's not from Craigslist. She takes care of them better than I think any of the other elder care companies. So where does this all come from?
I really have to attribute my heartfelt leadership to the industry that I'm in, and my clients. Hands down, I think clients teach you about your business, and we learn from clients, and I've learned a lot from my clients. In the beginning, I had a couple of celebrity clients. One of them is Eddie Albert, and he's all over our website. So he lived to be 99, and he taught me a standard of excellence in home care that I've never wavered from.
So say a little bit more so we can put ourselves in your...
Well, Eddie Albert was the star of Green Acres and Roman Holiday and many films, and he grew organic corn in his front yard. He threw, softball with the caregiver. He really demanded that the caregivers be in uniform, on time, be able to work with him. Don't treat him like he has dementia. He had age-related weakness. He didn't even have Alzheimer's. He had mild dementia. So really learning from him is how I developed, my staff.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
The lesson is, where did I learn the lesson of being heartfelt? And it really does come from Mark Victor Hansen. I had a lot of opportunities, worked in retail and worked in real estate, and I was a platform speaker and had my own company, but it was when I partnered up with Mark Victor Hansen where I really learned to be heartfelt, because this man is a 6'5" 5-year-old. He literally has the energy and the can-do spirit of a 5-year-old. You can't stop a 5-year-old. There's no stopping them. And he's like that. And for those of you that don't know the story of Chicken Soup for the Soul, it's he and Jack Canfield came up with the book Chicken Soup for the Soul, 101 Stories to Ignite Your Spirit. And they were turned down by 138 publishers. 138 no's. And I met one of the people that said no to him, Larry Kirschbaum, who was president of AOL Time Warner. He said, I'm one of the idiots that said no. And, he just kicks himself, because there have been 500 million of those books sold. 500 million. It's $500 million. That's unbelievable. But what he taught me is, and it's almost like for the person who's running the company, it's a blessing and a curse. It's just like even some of the people I've worked with that are geniuses. You love working with geniuses, but there's a genius curse that comes along with that, But he saw your greatest self in everybody he met. Everybody he met. He would look at you and he would say, you're greater than Steven Spielberg. He would say that to you and believe it. And he would say that about everyone. He always saw the greater you that you would never imagine of yourself. So that's where I got that. I stood back, and then you have to corral those energies, because now you got all these superstars running around, like, okay, now we got to go into action plan. How are you going to become that person? And I would be the person that would then, I was known as his advancer. So I would take these people that are now pumped up to be huge energies and advance them to at least move into some kind of action. So for me, it really came from Mark, and yeah.
Do you have a story, because we love stories, of him believing in you and seeing things in you maybe that you didn't?
Yeah, I think it would probably be when we were doing the Millionaire Summit. This was an event that he wanted to do with his business partner at the time, Robert Allen. They wanted me to find philanthropic millionaires, get them to buy a ticket for $10,000 to come to a 2.5 day event. And we were going to help them. We were going to help millionaires that were already philanthropic millionaires. The promise was, come to this meeting, and after 2.5 days, we're going to show you how you can earn an extra $1 million to give away. So that was a big promise. And I'm like, so you want me to find the millionaires, you want me to get past their gatekeepers, you want me to sell them a $10,000 seminar? And they so believed I could do it. and I did it. I sold it out. And it was, what I want to circle back to this heartfelt situation, because I think it's critical to this, is that when I would reach the millionaires, how I got through their secretaries, their, gatekeepers, I found out where their heart was. And I always found out where their heart was by reading their bios. And somewhere in the bio, usually about the 16th paragraph down, was, and they're on the board of Children's Luke Hospital, and they da-da-da. So whenever I would call their gatekeeper, I would simply say, "This is Pat Burns. I would like to speak to Larry Kirschbaum. I'd like to show him how he can get an extra $1 million to give to the Children's Hospital of New York." And they'd say, "Just a moment," and I got right through.
Do you think you could have sold that program out if Mark hadn't said to you, "You're amazing"? I believe in you.
No, I don't, well, maybe, I don't know. But I think he was the catalyst to, make sure that happened.
He bestowed on you.
Yeah, oh yeah, he does bestow on you. Yes. And you, and you, and you, and you, every one of you. He would. I think there's just something in some people that you can't, that no matter what happens, you can go through the Holocaust, you can go through, internment camps, you can be, given cancer. And there are some people that just have something in them that you can't push down. They have it. So, I think that if that's there, and there's people like Mark or bosses that we've all had that can blow it out, then that's pretty cool. So, for an example, is him believing and bestowing it on me, that you can make that happen. Yeah, but there have been other things. But I also remember when I was 3 telling my mother I was going to run away. I was like disgusted, I was done, 3. And she said, "Okay, I'll help you pack your bag." And I left. And she said, finally when I got past the hill, she realized I was gone. And she finally had to go get me. So she said I was always her "yes, my am" girl. Yes, my am. Not yes, I am. Yes, my am. And so it was, some people just have that in them. So when a good CEO or a good boss or all of us in the room spark that in someone else, anything's possible.
Was there a story from your angel flights? Because Susan is one of the most heartfelt people I know, but is there a story that you can share? Because she sends me pictures of her angel flights.
Nice.
Does everybody know what Angel Flight is? Is anyone, if you're not familiar with Angel Flight, maybe you could really quickly explain that.
It's an amazing organization for transporting children or people who have life-threatening, non-emergency illnesses. And the trick is that you have to fly with a small pilot, or a small plane in a pilot, with a pilot. So you have to be brave to want to be in this 4-seater plane and fly to your treatment. So typically I will pick up someone from near Fresno, fly her back or take her back home. And once they get to Santa Monica, where I'm based, there's a person called an Earth Angel. And that person drives them to UCLA or Cedars, they get their treatment, and another pilot flies them home. So the people that I worked with last week was a little girl, 4-year-old girl who had a cochlea implant. She came to UCLA to get treatment, and then I flew her home to Firebaugh, which is near Fresno, which I've never heard of. But I sent Mark the photo because they were field workers. They hoed strawberries and things like that, her and her husband. So there are sometimes people who are really in need and don't want to lose time driving on the freeway, and they're willing to fly with us pilots. So it's a free organization for them. We volunteer our time and our fuel and our plane and fly people around. They were voted the best charity for the Los Angeles Business Journal last year. Alan Diaz, the president, won that award.
We mentioned earlier about how volunteering can help center yourself. So does it have that effect when you...
Oh yeah, what's better than to get up off the earth and not communicate with anyone except ATC and your phone, it can ring, but, and I know pilots who have hooked up their headset to have their phone ring, but I don't do that. Occasionally I'll text a friend or, upload a picture. But yeah, what's better for me than to get up off the earth and fly and, you know, have someone in the back seat who absolutely needs my transportation and to, you know, make up time in their life. You can always make money, you can't make time. So it's for me to give them a chance to make up some time.
That's great, that's great. Challenges from the outside world. When you run into people within your organization, outside, who are not heartfelt, maybe who even tend towards being mercenary, how do you stay true to yourself? And I know there's a lot of competition in your industry and cost cutting and all those kinds of things. How do you stay true to what you do and how you do it?
Well, I have you in my corner. That helps me a lot. Surrounding myself, I think Joan said that, surround yourself with really good qualified people that remind you of that. But again, you know, I sit down with a client who's 80, 90 years old, and they may have, you know, dementia. Their son or daughter is sitting next to me going, I gotta work, I got kids to raise, I can't be here, you have to help me. So I'm in a tremendously compassionate business. And once I sit down, and I like to do assessments, I like to sit down with families and get to know them, that humbles me. It brings me right back to the point in which I remember why I started the company. So it's not about, you know, I heard you say, does everything, or you said, does everything have to be so transactionally based? It doesn't. It's one client at a time. They're humbling me. They're putting me back in that place of, you know, humility, and then I am compassionately, bravely going forward to say, we're going to take the relief off of you, son or daughter. We're going to get you a caregiver. Can't be you. It's going to be a professional caregiver who's never going to waver from their compassion. So that's where I'm at.
How do you pay it forward to your staff? How do you get them? It's one thing when you're the owner and you're meeting clients, but how do you get them to live the brand for you?
A barrier-free environment. My office is a wide open space. You know, there's 3 doors in the whole place. One of them, 4 doors, one to the conference room and one to the server room, but nobody's door is ever closed. It's a barrier-free place. It's like an open stock market. So as we get the calls, we hear what's going on with people. My staff is empowered to run the company. At any given time, any one of those people can run my company. So when I'm flying, I have absolute 100% certainty that it's going to go okay. I genuinely really love my staff, and I appreciate them. I completely respect them, because you asked a question to me or put it out on a blog. Would your staff work for free? Do they love their job enough to not be compensated? And I got the most amazing emails back, and they were like, yeah, I love it. I wish elder care didn't cost anything. I wish it was free. I wish Medicare had a program. Because there we are in these homes and being vulnerable with people, and then you got to go, yep, and it's $20 an hour. So it's a tough position to be in, but again, they really love it. They love to wake up every day and know we employ 150 people in this job economy. It's phenomenal. Today we're interviewing 13 people and we're paying 150 people. And I'm not there. So they're doing it. And they love the end result.
How do you stay true to your values when you work with a lot of people who maybe don't see leadership as being a heartfelt thing?
It's not easy. The answer really comes in not being afraid to be fired.
Say more about
Well,
that.
yeah.
Well, you just say, I'm going to, where was someone that spoke up at my table? Yeah. Christine?
Yeah.
Christine shared a story about speaking up about something that was a big concern to her board, and she realized she could have been fired, and it hasn't happened yet. So, yeah, it's really when I have something to say, and I know it's important and it's heartfelt, I know I'm going to get the flack. I know it. They're going to go, you know, wah, wah, they're going to get their violins, they're going to make some kind of little comment. but I do it anyway.
And
And I
then
know-
what do they do when you do it anyway? What happens?
Sometimes they make a little, sarcastic remark, and sometimes they acknowledge it, and I never know which way it's going to go. I never do. And so how does it affect me? Next. You just have to.
When they make a sarcastic, because I think that was part of the challenge here, how can you be heartfelt when you're not dealt with that way? When they do make a sarcastic remark, what do you
It
do?
depends on the level of sarcasm. I mean, there's a little bit and then there's a lot. When it's a lot, I get really angry. I become angry. Not at them, but at myself. Why am I still here? Why is this happening? You go through all of that. Why am I directing this to me? You want to go into that mode. You want to know, what did I do to make this happen? And then I have a good friend that I can talk to. And then when I talk it out, she kind of talks me through it, and I'm okay.
Is that friend at work, or is that somebody outside of work?
No, not at work. Mm-mm.
So you've got some kind of a support
Yep.
system
Yes,
that
I do.
says,
Mhm.
you can get back in the ring,
Yeah.
you can do this.
Yeah, just, you should be honored for who you are. They put you, they get you back to where you're feeling valued. And I think that's what happens when you're cut down or sarcasm comes in. You feel devalued. They're giving you a 10-minute sign. I don't know if you saw that or not. Okay, so, yeah, and I think nobody likes that feeling. Nobody wants to feel devalued. You want to feel that your contribution means something and it is impactful, and whether it's in your family, your relationships, or work, you want to feel valued. And so when you feel devalued, it's a hard place to pull your bootstraps up from. I have a personal assistant that is totally opposite of me. She's a very detailed, by the books, does everything on paper, doesn't even like to use the computer. I'm like, ugh. So, and I work for a software company. This is like really hard. And at least every now and then I have to turn to her and say, this part of what you do for me, this part that you're working on right now, I couldn't survive without you doing it. I tell her that. And I couldn't. She pays my bills. I mean, I'm just like, please, that she does it so well. And I have no trouble making money. I have problems knowing how to use it, right? So she knows how to use it, and she puts it to good use and watches over it. And like Diana, like people that watch over the money, it's a big job. And I have to tell her, I could not be the person I am without you doing what you do for me. And you can just see it, just like buttons start busting. Yesterday I interviewed Don Miguel Ruiz, the author of the 4 Agreements, for the Grand Magazine, and I spent 2 hours with him. And if there was ever an angel in human form, it's this man. He was just incredible. But the 4th agreement, which is what you're really talking about, is to do the best you can. And he really talked about that a lot. He said that's his favorite of all the 4 agreements. Do the best you can. And whatever that means, if it means pausing, and so that you're not just in reaction mode, or whatever the cause is, just do the best you can. And I asked him, I said, what's your legacy going to be for your children and grandchildren? And he said, it's not houses, it's not money. It's to have lived a life of love, joy, and respect. And I thought, wouldn't that be great to be able to do that in all parts of your life? Live in love, joy, and respect. And that was pretty cool.
One of the things Mark, you talk about of the 3 steps, I don't know if it's in Just Listen or the Harvard Business Journal, about something that has taken me a long time to do because I don't have the time or the patience sometimes. When I have a situation, I say to the person, okay, what is it? What are you most frustrated about?
Yeah, I wrote something on how to listen to someone who's venting.
How to listen. So they're venting. So now I have to stop and say, what are you most frustrated about? What are you most angry about? What are you most worried about? Those 3 things have gotten me out of a lot of jams and not made it about me, made it about
That's
them,
good.
and we got to the bottom line. Even with an Alzheimer's patient who's got a golf club in his hand, what are you most worried about? A stranger coming in my house, or my house being taken away and I have to be in an assisted living. So those 3 things are really, really hard.